last week we had the RISE program, and I'm really fortunate to be able to come in from Florida and work here for a period of time and get connected with the team that's here. And then this week being back out here working with the Men in the Trauma program and seeing everybody here. I think it's been really amazing to see that, this team has been assembled from really around the country, and people are able to give input and participate in different ways. And I really feel welcome when I come out here. It's nice to be connected remotely, but it's also great to show up here. I do find, I never thought when I went back to school to become a therapist that I'd be able to be on the beach one day on Sunday with my family, and then here in the mountains and maybe skiing this week and checking in with you guys and working with some folks out here in the beautiful mountains to heal. I've actually felt pretty welcome in town in meeting folks, and it's just really great to be a part of this team. And I'm really excited to see what we can accomplish. It's definitely it's a big project, and while there's probably not any modalities that we've created that are new, I have never seen a container like this in which those are employed that anywhere in the world. So, we're really allowing people to enter a level of care at different points, and their families at different points, and then have this container of the lodge and the mountains. We're looking out at them right now, and I just feel like they're kind of hugging us. So it's really great to see people who have experience in this field, also all of us at the same time stepping into something that nobody has experience with. It's kind of exciting. We're like explorers.
We are. It's exciting to be part of a big dream. This is a very, very big dream, to provide world-class care in a 5-star amenity experience. So our founder, Noah Nordheimer, wanted to bring the best of clinical care and the best of what we know about the mind in a setting where you had a 5-star amenity experience, where the surroundings were beautiful, where it was a beautifully appointed and decorated lodge with full spa services and athletic training and pools and hot tubs and access to many wellness activities and adventure experiences, and access to some of the best clinicians in the country. So we're recruiting very hard for some of the best clinicians in the country to join our team, and we have quite a few really, really excellent clinicians. I've been integrating into the Vail Valley. I come from Texas, and my experience has been that everyone that I've met so far is really excited about what we're doing. We have many allies here in the Eagle Vail Valley, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that. The area, although breathtakingly beautiful, these mountains are amazing. It is so beautiful out here. It can be just the economy of the area, the way that things change with the seasons in terms of employment can create situations where people find themselves struggling with existential questions. And Eagle County has a high suicide rate. Because this is a resort area, many people find themselves in situations where they're getting in trouble with drugs, alcohol, and other substances. And there is a deep hunger for an excellent treatment resource in this valley. I hear that over and over and over again when I introduce myself to the folks in the ski shop who are fitting me for my boots or helping me pick out skis, or helping me with warm clothing, because I come from Texas. I had to buy warm clothing to get out here. I don't have much of that back home. They're also very, very helpful when we talk about, who are you, what are you doing? I tell them what I'm doing out here, and they immediately open up and share with me either their personal journey in recovery or that of a loved one, a parent, a brother, a sister, a close personal friend. And then they usually say, you know, we're really rooting for you. We're so glad that you're coming to this area and making this investment in our community because we really need these services here. So my experience is that everybody has been very, very welcoming so far, and that we have a lot of allies who are rooting for us and who have a story to share, because mental illness and the disease of addiction touch us all in some way, shape, or form, either personally or in the person of someone we know and love and care about, a friend or a family member. There's a closely knit faith-based community out here where people collaborate around issues that are important. For example, there was an interfaith service at Vail Chapel Saturday night, and it was all about standing up to hate, that hate has no home here. And it's just a beautiful thing to see so many people come together from lots of different faith traditions in solidarity, helping and supporting each other. There's a vibrant Chamber of Commerce out here, the Vail Valley Partnership, and they're hosting a big gala that we'll be attending on February 14th, and for which they raise money for the arts and for education and for cultural events. So that there's a tight-knit community that loves this valley and wants to see it succeed and prosper. And so I'm enjoying getting to know people and hoping to become part of that effort to help continue to develop this community.
Well, I need to follow you around. You went deep. I was going to say the skiing and the restaurants.
Oh, the skiing's great.
I was surprised by what a small town vibe it is here. I had no idea. And I mean, I can't go to the grocery store without running into 5 people I know, and lived here for 4 months.
Right.
But it's been great. And not just the winter stuff. We came at the end of the summer, and there's like a summer concert series, and there's wonderful hiking, and there's so many great things to do. It's been a really great move.
For me, I mean, a funny story is my wife and I don't know if you guys know this, we honeymooned in Vail 8 years ago. And we had this 5-year plan that we were coming, we didn't know Vail, we were coming out west, and then, you know, life happens, we had a child, I started next chapter, and kind of forgot about it. And then when, you know, I met Noah and we merged, we came out here, this dream that we kind of put in the universe came true. I mean, this is a place that my wife and I have wanted to live in for a long time. We weren't the biggest fans of South Florida. We definitely are mountain people, love to ski and hike, and as Ryan said, the restaurants out here are amazing, and I don't know, it's just it's a very exciting lifestyle. But yes, some of the things that you touched on Maria, about some of the mental health issues, suicide rates, some of that is some really, it's scary. I have some of my own ideas that I've been working on around that, around what is driving some of that, but yeah, we love it out here. We really do. It's amazing.
Yeah, and we've, you know, we're committed to participate with community stakeholders to help improve mental health in the community. We are joining the PROUD task force, which is dedicated to trying to reduce opioid use disorder. And naturally, because they started out trying to do something in the community to deal with the opioid epidemic, as more and more stakeholders from healthcare and addictions treatment and community mental health and law enforcement and the courts began to dialogue, they realized this is so much bigger than just opioid use disorder. And so now the coalition has really expanded their focus even more broadly into mental health, which is a good thing, because what I've learned from other communities, especially Austin, Texas, is when you get stakeholders talking to each other on a regular basis, you can collaborate to make the entire system of care more recovery-oriented and get into prevention activities. And you know, we're certainly going to be doing prevention activities. I think a really good example is the athletics program, where we are working with professional athletes in their sophomore year, which is a place where the wheels can come off between the fame, the pressure to perform, the high salaries that our elite athletes command, can get people into trouble. And so part of what's going on with the athletics program is running workshops, really prevention workshops, for athletes who are entering their sophomore year as pro athletes to help them make good choices. Workshops for their wives. The NFL Wives Workshop is coming up. And that's really to help wives help their husbands to make really good decisions and to stay true to their values and be really, really clear about what it is they want in life and what's important, and to not get pulled into or distracted by situations that could lead to their self-destruction. And so we're about prevention as well as treatment, and we're going to be about prevention as well as treatment here in the Eagle Vail Valley.
One of the things I've noticed coming out here is, it's a community based on hospitality, and it's people, helping people not only have a good time, helping people be safe. Abe and I have been fortunate to have a couple run-ins with the ski patrol once in the summertime, mountain biking. We have pictures of us being in these beautiful trees, and the next picture is him with his shoulder broken. And the AMT guys were amazing, and they were, they weren't like, you did something wrong. They were really kind of helping us to, make sure that we were both safe and cared for. And then it was my turn last week, and I got to flip over my skis as Abe's following me. Abe and I aren't allowed to go do any mountain sports together anymore. We need to have locals. It can't be two Florida boys. But and I pulled a muscle in my leg, and the ski patrol really helped. And I just think that I've experienced a community of helping people have great experiences, helping people be safe and take risks. And I think that helps. We're a good fit for that too, because that's really what we're doing at the core. Behavioral health and mental health, it gets a bad rap where it's kind of like this, heavy, just hard experience. And really, it doesn't have to be people hitting bottoms. We can just be working with folks to, live life a little bit better, to be able to enjoy the things that are out here. It was easy for me as an example, when I pulled my leg the other day. I was really mad and upset because I was projecting that I wasn't going to be able to, ski the next day. And it was a lot of work for me. And I work in this field, and I do a lot around mindfulness to stay in the moment and be like, this is just a temporary experience. So I can see where, there's a lot of opportunity to help folks in that. And we can do that with our workshops. And, it doesn't have to be people whose lives fall apart and they need to come to the lodge for 30 or 60 or 90 days. Sometimes people just need a little bit of help, getting to that next level, whatever that is for them.
It's so interesting you bring that up, because the injury that you're talking about that happened to me in September, being that I wanted to be out here for so long, and I love biking and climbing and skiing and all that other stuff, and then the first month I'm out here I have this major injury, and it takes me away from, and that's a very real thing here, that people for whatever reason aren't able to do the thing that they came out here to do. Or we were talking about yesterday, people start to age and they can't do the same things that they were doing before. All of that really leads to depression and anxiety and some of the things that we're talking about. I really think that we can be such a great resource for the community on so many levels. They don't have to be hitting a rock bottom, but they can get to a place where this existential, like why am I here? I came here to do all this, for some reason I can't, so.
I know I went to the movie theater last night, and I was shocked to see how many sets of crutches there were and seats next to them. I live in South Florida. There's walkers when we go to the theater because everyone's old. Here it was like people with on crutches and in slings and stuff like that. I was really, really quite shocked.
And here you walking around in a crutch or a sling, people come over to you and they start naming names. I didn't know what they were doing. They're naming the orthopedist who did the work. It's like a badge of glory here, it's your passage.
And when we went to the hospital with you, I was really impressed. I mean, it didn't seem like I was going into a hospital. It seemed like I was going into kind of a nice hotel, and everyone was really welcoming, and you're in and out. And part of that is a small community, but I think it also, just shows that people really have an investment in health and fitness. There's a lot of very fit people around here, and it's good to see that. I think one of the things that's missing in our community, in the in our nation even, is we have a lot of focus in areas on physical health and physical fitness, where when we tend to look at mental health, as soon as someone says mental health, they're really talking about mental illness. Right. And I think we can refocus to really start talking about mental fitness. I don't have to have a problem. I can just really want to be able to look at things a different way and be fit. People go to gyms and exercise. There's ways to do that for your mind.
Yes.
And so that we can really be present with life and enjoy our families and enjoy the the stuff out here too.
I don't know if you guys know this, but we've been doing this with our clients, our current clients, taking them to the hill twice a week. Snowshoeing, we're going to do a snowmobiling trip. So, one of the things that was so attractive to me about, merging Next Chapter into All Points North was the ability to, do that kind of work, trauma work. The way that I understand trauma and addiction, addiction is all about regulation. It's emotional regulation. Trauma is the problem. Addiction is the way we regulate that trauma. And, being able to, and so much of trauma is stored in the body. So being able to get them outdoors and do things like skiing and hiking and, some of the other modalities that we incorporate, yoga and breath work, and do it in this setting. It's kind of a dream. There's no better way, and then along with the partnerships with Vail Health and checking those boxes with the executive physical, it's pretty much everything you can ask for in creating a place of healing. So.
As you're saying that, I'm thinking, when someone looks at it, I'm looking out the view here at the window, or we stand out in the mountains and someone says, that's breathtaking. There's a reason that we're saying that. It causes you to pause and breathe. You're really being present with what's there. Exercise, hiking, snowshoeing, it causes you to breathe. And a lot of the problems that we have around regulation with emotions is about our breath. I have a teacher who always says, if you want to change your mind, change your breath. That we have these breathing patterns for different states. If I'm really angry or if I'm really sad, chances are I'm not taking these long, deep breaths, which is what we'll do in meditation. But being outdoors, walking, hiking, skiing is really it's a meditation in motion that brings you into that moment. Which we're never really living outside of this moment, but we get oriented to these other things. And for me, I know when I'm out in the middle of the wilderness and my phone's not working, and and I'm looking at what my next step is, I feel very present. I'm very connected. I feel very safe, actually, even in sometimes in unsafe situations.
Although Vail's figured out a way for your phone to work pretty much anywhere you are on that mountain, so you're never too far away.
Well, if I leave it in the locker, then that's.
I think the icing on the cake too with some of these experiential, or with some of these activities, is the ability to send out an experiential therapist as well, and to help people to process in the moment, to look at, are you able to be mindful right now, or what are some of the blocks that are coming up? What is this experience like for you? How is it to be out here doing this, and what does it bring up? And where do you see these issues elsewhere in life? So everything kind of becomes an opportunity for growth and learning and self-actualization.
Yeah, where does fear show up in your body? Where will you take risks? Where will you stop? Where are you able to kind of move through things or not? You can actually see people's fight or flight and freeze responses in athletic experiences, whether, especially where there's ones that kind of induce a little bit of fear, whether it's on the mountain or in a ropes course or zip lines or something like that. You can also see people who seem to be really stuck emotionally or won't take risks in relationships, but then they'll go all out, like an adrenaline seeking behaviors and things like that. So it's really interesting to be able to see that.
And that's a great point that you bring up, and it reminds me of something else that I think is really unique about what we're doing here. Yes, we're doing these adventure therapy, skiing, hiking, snowshoeing, but it's being done with a therapist, staff, There's an opportunity, there's a therapeutic component that brings out a lot of the things that we're talking about. So it's not just having a good time, which is important, but they are in treatment, and we want to utilize that in a clinical, through a clinical lens. And the same thing with this lodge. I've been asked by colleagues, so wait, let me get this straight. You're going to try to bring this clinical excellence in this 5-star amenity resort. How's that going to work? Is it a resort or is it treatment? Well, if the clinicians are trained in a way that they're able to utilize these amenities through a clinical lens, it's not just fluff. It's not just about, massage treatments and, a beautiful fitness center. It's using all of that through a clinical lens, which changes the whole dynamic of it.
Mm-hmm. When people look at things through that perspective of sort of how you do one thing is how you do everything, then you pull out what are the patterns or roles or enactments that you're playing out right now that are sort of reflective of the way that you're participating in life or interacting with other people, and what can we do about that?
Yeah, there's been kind of a couple extremes that I've seen in addiction treatment. One is kind of this, you strip every single thing away from you, which had been kind of a model for a period, and I'm sure that still exists, but it can be very much shame-inducing, and it doesn't reflect
humility.
To create humility, which often doesn't reflect real life.
Right.
Because now maybe you can do that in that environment, and then they go back in the world. It's a protected environment. You go back into your family, you go back into the workplace that you've been in, and you're not protected anymore. And now that inability to create that false humility or humility can induce even more shame, and then there's the other side that there's been in treatment for a while that people are completely indulged, where they're just given everything that they could possibly want or need, and really not look at it through a clinical lens. And here we're really striving to meet people where they are, give them an experience that treatment doesn't have to be about the reduction of everything in your life, that being sober doesn't have to take everything away, that it can be about building a life, and that we can do it in a setting that people are comfortable, and that we treat them with respect and dignity, and let it be nice for them.
Mm-hmm. Last week we took our clients skiing, or 2 weeks ago, and one of our clients, for lunch, we took them into the lodge, and she said that it was the first, she's been skiing since a kid. And she said since she was 17 years old, she's never gone skiing, gone into a lodge for lunch and not had alcohol. And she was incredibly triggered. And it was an opportunity for the staff member that was with her to go on a walk and process it with her. I mean, that's treatment. Going away somewhere for 28 days in some secluded place where you're just there and you don't have any kind of exposure to any of this, that's not real life. It's almost a disservice. And I feel that, those experiences, taking them to places where they're around alcohol, where they're exposed to some of their triggers, is the way to really help them. Because when they leave here, like you said, the real world shows up. She's going to go skiing and hit that lodge. She'll never have had that experience of being there and not drinking.
Yeah, and some of the freedoms we're giving them in the lodge, and to be honest, I had to wrap my head around it in a new way, because it challenged some of the norms, where people are going to have access to their phones or access to computers, but it's not going to be unregulated. If they're abusing it or they're coming from a situation where that was something that was a problem, we're going to look at it a different way. If it's somebody who, does not have an issue with that, or we need them to maybe bring up, some issues around how they contact their family or how they contact their work, Abe's always said that the treatment doesn't really start until the crisis occurs. There needs to be some sort of, energy in the tank, that it's not just, I'm away from everything in a bubble, which sometimes people need to be for a little bit before they can start stepping into some of these freedoms, and we'll be able to accomplish that with folks too. That, some need to be a little bit more contained because they're unable, but we're going to be able to assess each individual and see where they are. It's not a one-size-fits-all program.
It's about embracing health and making healthy choices and learning how to make healthy choices. So for a lot of folks, this involves skill development, developing skills that they had never developed before. and then exercising them. You know, as Abe says, being exposed to it again and again and learning how to make that healthy choice. So good nutrition is part of it. We're going to be scratch cooking everything. Everything's going to be made from scratch here. We've hired a wonderful executive chef, Ronnie Sanchez, who has tremendous experience in the hospitality industry and who is very much dedicated to whole food, fresh food cooking. So it's everything from really good sleep to excellent nutrition to body work, you know, yoga, tai chi, movement therapy, weightlifting, access to personal trainers, access to athletic trainers, swimming, you know, skiing, outdoor adventure activities, embracing health, building healthy habits that affirm your love for yourself, that you love yourself enough to want to take good care of yourself, and you have a way to do it. You have an access to everything that you need here to do that. And then thinking about how do you build it into your own life? You know, how do you build it into your own life to make healthy choices and take good care of yourself after you leave us?
Yeah, with balance. You know, we really need to seek balance.